All right, guys, today is Wednesday, September 22nd, and we are going to be going over our ELA lesson. All right. So before we get started, I just want to remind you guys that if you have not finished your STAR testing, you need to complete it. If you don't remember how to do any of these assignments, there are YouTube videos for all of these assignments. So if you need to take your STAR reading test, if you click on this yellow highlighted, it'll take you to our YouTube video on how to do it. Let's say that you need to do your History Social Science Chapter 2 test. What you're going to do is you're going to scroll until you find your Science Chapter 2. So this is Science Unit 1. Okay, I need Chapter 2. Or not, I'm sorry, it doesn't say Science. It says History Social Science. So that's History. So I need to find History. Here we have, okay, History, Chapter 2. Oh, here it is. And then there's a YouTube video. So if you click on that, it'll show you that video that will go along with whatever assignment you're missing. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started. For today, Wednesday, we are going to be reading pages 82 to 103 in your big book. Your big book is going to be the larger book compared to the smaller book we read through yesterday. It's going to look like this. It has 2 swordfish jumping. It's going to also say literature anthology. Okay. So that's what the book you're going to find. Now, if you don't have your book, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the waffle. If you don't have your book, you're going to click on the waffle, scroll all the way down till you hit McGraw-Hill Education. McGraw-Hill Education. From there, you're going to log in. And then you're going to click on your Wonders ELA book. And then you're going to click on Read.
Read.
Now, it's not going to tell you big book or literature anthology. So what you need to do is you need to find the story that's within your big book. So your big book story is Lola and Tiva and Animal Needs. We're going to read Lola and Tiva in class. If you want, and then you guys are going to need to read Animal Needs on your own. Now, Wednesdays are a long day. So if you don't get to finish everything in the hour that you guys are working, that's okay. What is the only requirement on Wednesdays? That you, right now, there's really nothing because, I mean, even though the STAR testing is highlighted, if you already did it, then you're good to go. Okay, so nothing on Wednesdays need to be completed or turned in. Are they going to help you guys on your tests? Definitely. I recommend, obviously, you guys are in class. So the most important things about today's lesson, I will be going over it anyways. Same thing on Thursdays. Okay, so let's go ahead and read Lola and Tiva because that's what you're going to be tested on Friday. So if you want to reread the story, you can either go to it in your book or online, or you can rewatch this YouTube video because I'm going to be playing the book for you now.
Genre, narrative nonfiction. Lola and Tiva, an unlikely friendship.
Essential question. How do we care for animals? Read about a girl who cares for her pet rhino. There is a very special place in Kenya, Africa called the Liwa Wildlife Conservancy. Liwa is a large place where animals roam free and people called rangers watch over them. A young girl named Tiva lived there with her family. Her father worked for Liwa. Everyone at Liwa knew that Tiva had always wanted a puppy, but puppies were not allowed. Instead, the people at Liwa found Tiva a different kind of friend, a young black rhino named Lola. Lola seemed to work just as well as a puppy for Tiva. Lola and Tiva became the best of friends. This is their true story. Lola was born at Liwa to a mother that was blind. For a couple of days, Lola drank her mother's milk for food and stayed close by. But when she was strong enough to walk, Lola wandered off to another area of Liwa. Her mother could not see Lola walking away. Without her mother to feed and protect her, Lola was in danger. Lola needed food and could become a meal for a lion or another hungry animal. She could not find her mother, and her blind mother could not find her. The rangers who worked at Liwa searched for Lola. When they found her, they brought her to a safe place in Liwa that was near Tiva's house. There, Lola would be out of danger. Tiva was excited when Lola arrived. She wanted to take care of Lola. Like any baby, Lola needed many things. Most of all, Lola was hungry and needed milk. Tiva learned to feed Lola. Lola drank a bottle 5 times a day. Each time, she drank over a gallon. Tiva loved Lola. Lola was a lot like a big puppy. She tried to climb things. She licked things. She smelled things. Lola begged at the dinner table.
So why don't you guys type in the chat?
Stop and check. Ask and answer questions. How was Lola like a big puppy? Like most pets, Lola never posed when Tiva tried to take pictures. She wanted to nap. But Lola did like for Tiva to pet her between the ears. Of course, rhinos are not really like dogs. They don't eat dog food. When Lola was about 5 months old, she started to eat like a real rhino. She ate shrubs, twigs, and leaves. Her upper lip is shaped like a hook and can grab onto food. Lola could wrap her hook around sticks and leaves, but she still loved to drink her milk too. Rhinos in the wild are usually shy. They often run away if they see or smell people. Lola was too young to be afraid of people. Tiva and the rangers became her family. A baby rhino is called a calf. A calf usually stays with its mother for 2 years. The mother watches over her calf. Lola needed someone to look after her. Tiva became Lola's special friend. Like a pet, Lola needed special care. Tiva helped pick bugs off Lola's body. The bugs could make Lola sick. In the wild, birds eat the bugs off a rhino's skin. But birds would not do that for Lola. There were too many people around. Lola also needed to take baths, mud baths. When a rhino rolls in the mud, it is called wallowing. It is an important part of being a rhino. The mud protects the rhino's skin from the sun, like sunscreen. Once the mud dries, it also keeps bugs from biting. Tiva made sure Lola knew how to wallow. It isn't as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of practice. A rhino does not have to wash the mud off. A little girl does. Lola and Tiva shared their days together. Lola learned about being a rhinoceros. Tiva learned about being a friend. It was a lot of fun, and it wore them out. Now Lola is almost full grown. She is too big to play with Tiva like she used to. But the time they spent together will always be special. After all, a little girl never forgets her first best friend.
All right. So if you want to read Animal Needs, you can pause this YouTube video and watch it, or you can look at it through your book. This next story is going to be for next week. So don't worry about this one. We're only reading up to page 103. All right. Now let's look at our schedule. The next thing it says is going to be your closed reading companion. Now I downloaded the CRC book into Google Classroom, but you guys should also have access to it as well. So if you go to Google Classroom, go to ELA, it's right here, closed reading companion, CRC, and it says Wednesdays. When you open it up, it's going to take you to the link to use it. From there, you're gonna need to find the correct page. So we are on page 22. So I'm gonna go right here, down here, and I'm gonna delete cover. I'm gonna write 22 and then click enter or return. So here we are. Lola and Tiva, an unlikely friendship. How do the photos help you understand the relationship between Lola and Tiva? Read about it. Let's reread pages 82 through 85. What did you learn about Lola and Tiva from the photos? So let's go back and let's reread. So we have Lola and Tiva.
There is a very special place in Kenya, Africa called the Liwa Wildlife Conservancy. Liwa is a large place where animals roam free and people called rangers watch over them. A young girl named Tiva lived there with her family. Her father worked for Liwa. Everyone at Liwa knew that Tiva had always wanted a puppy, but puppies were not allowed. Instead, the people at Liwa found Tiva a different kind of friend, a young black rhino named Lola. Lola seemed to work just as well as a puppy for Tiva. Lola and Tiva became the best of friends. This is their true story.
Awesome. Now, what did you learn about Lola and Tiva from the photos? Write what you learned about Lola in the left box and what you learned about Tiva in the right box. So let's look again. So let's look at these pictures. Okay, well, look at this picture. There's Lola and there's Tiva, and they're getting along right here. Here is Tiva, and she looks really happy. Here is Lola and Tiva, and they look like they're getting along and they're happy together. So write what you learned about Lola in the left box and what you learned about Tiva in the right box. So we're going to start with Lola. So we know, let's see. So Lola was a baby rhino. So let's write that down. So Lola is a baby rhino. And then what did we learn about Tiva? Tiva always wanted a puppy. Now the photos help me understand that Tiva treats Lola like her pet and loves her very much. Just from what we can see in those photos. Okay, next question. Why was Lola out of danger when she came to Tiva? Reread pages 88 and 89. So now let's keep going up. 87, 88, and 89.
Lola needed food and could become a meal for a lion or another hungry animal. She could not find her mother, and her blind mother could not find her. The rangers who worked at Liwa searched for Lola. When they found her, they brought her to a safe place in Liwa that was near Tiva's house. There, Lola would be out of danger. Tiva was excited when Lola arrived. She wanted to take care of Lola. Like any baby, Lola needed many things. Most of all, Lola was hungry and needed milk. Tiva learned to feed Lola. Lola drank a bottle 5 times a day. Each time, she drank over a gallon.
So, tell what you learned about what Lola needs. Okay, so let's see. Lola needed food. Okay, so she needed food and she needed milk. So in here, I'm gonna write food, milk, and she needed to be kept safe. Because if she wasn't, then something else in the wild could eat her. So Tiva cared for Lola, and what was she doing in that photo? By feeding her milk 5 times a day. Or you can just add it at feeding her milk. Okay. All right, we're gonna do one more page and then you guys can do animal needs on your own if you have time today. How did Tiva help Lola learn how to take care of herself? Now let's reread pages 94 to 96. Talk about why Tiva had to give Lola special care.
A baby rhino is called a calf. A calf usually stays with its mother for 2 years. The mother watches over her calf. Lola needed someone to look after her. Tiva became Lola's special friend. Like a pet, Lola needed special care. Tiva helped pick bugs off Lola's body. The bugs could make Lola sick. In the wild, birds eat the bugs off a rhino's skin. But birds would not do that for Lola. There were too many people around. Lola also needed to take baths, mud baths. When a rhino rolls in the mud, it is called wallowing. It is an important part of being a rhino. The mud protects the rhino's skin from the sun, like sunscreen. Once the mud dries, it also keeps bugs from biting.
Okay, I hid the chat so that you guys can only message me because some of you guys are using the chat to spam and to write things that have nothing to do with their lesson. Remember, if we do that, then we're not making good decisions in class.
Tiva made sure Lola knew how to wallow. It isn't as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of practice. A rhino does not have to wash the mud off. A little girl does.
Okay, so write in the circles 3 things that Lola learned from Tiva. 3 things that Lola learned from Tiva. Okay, she learned how to wallow in the mud. That keeps her cool. What else did she learn from Tiva? She learned how to take mud baths or through wallowing. She helped pick bugs off of her. Picked bugs off her back. And then she learned how to stay cool. Lola had to learn, like all of the things that she would need to learn with her mother. But because her mother was blind, she couldn't help her. So Lola had to learn how to be a rhino from Tiva since her mother could not help her. Because usually mothers would help in those first 2 years. All right. So 25, 26, 27, and 28. If you guys have time for those are going to be the end of our CRC pages. If you can't get through it all, that is okay. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is going to be your turn workbook pages. Again, you should have your turn workbook pages. It's going to look, it's going to say your turn with the blue floppy book, or you can also find it right here under ELA classwork. And then we are today going to be going over pages 36 to 38. Okay, oh wait, no, that's not it. That's 27. All right, right here, the foster pet. Amy's family had a foster pet. They feed and play with Rocky and take him to the vet. They train him to follow commands. When Rocky gets bigger, another family will give him a lasting home. So here it is, Amy training Rocky to walk on a leash. How can you tell that this text is a narrative nonfiction? So remember, we spoke about this. If you're ever unsure, you can go back to your little book because your little book is going to have those comprehension skills and strategies. So to get to your little book, you click on Taking Care of Pepper. And then you just flip through the pages till you get to your comprehension skill and strategy. So here we go. There's this, and then here, the next page is genre.
Narrative nonfiction. The selection, Taking Care of Pepper, is a narrative nonfiction. A narrative nonfiction is about real people, things, or events, is told by a narrator, can have photos and captions.
All right, so we're going to write that down. How can you tell that this text is a narrative nonfiction? And then I'm going to write it talks about real people and events. There is a narrator and a photo with captions. And captions are going to be like whatever explains what the photo looks like or what is in the photo, like usually down below. Okay. What is one way that Amy trains Rocky? How did you find this information? Okay, so what are we going to do to find that information? We're going to reread. They train him to follow commands. Oh, right here. Amy trains Rocky to walk on a leash. So it's one way that Amy trains Rocky. She trains him to walk on a leash, period. How did you find this information? I reread and found it in the caption. And then remember, these YouTube videos will be up. So if you guys can't remember the answers and you need help, then what you're going to do is rewatch the YouTube video and pause as you need help. Okay, number 3, what does the text help you learn about a foster pet? Okay, so we learned that a foster pet is a pet that is going to end up going to a long forever home. What does the text help you learn about a foster pet? A foster pet is a pet that is looking to find a forever home. And what I mean by a forever home, it's a home that they'll be with forever. These people that are taking care of them are just fostering this dog. Right now, even though they're taking care of him now, they're taking care of him and training him and helping him. But eventually, once they find an owner that can take care of him for the rest of his life, then they give it to that owner. Fostering, it really helps people who are in need of families, and then those families take them in until someone else can take them in forever. Okay, last one, root words. To figure out a new word, separate the root word from the ending. The ending S, ES, and ING mean that the action is happening now. The ending ED means the action happened in the past. Read each sentence, look at each underlined word. Draw a line between the root word and the ending, then write the meaning of the word. Okay, number 1, he lives in the city. We're going to draw a line in between the root word and the ending, then write the meaning of the word. Now, to live in the city means somewhere that you stay for a long time, like your home, right? So let's write something like that. When you live somewhere, that means that you stay there as a place you call home when you live somewhere. Okay. Firefighters. 50 firefighters lived and worked there too. So what does the word work mean? So it looks like they lived and worked. So it's like a job that you do. When you work, that means that it's a job that you do. He helped Wilshire learn to live in the fire station. Help is the root word, ED is the ending. So when you help someone, he helped Wilshire learn to live in the fire station. So when you help someone, you give them aid or support. Then the firefighter takes Wilshire home. Take is the root word. And when you take something home, you like bring it home. And that technically, when you take something, sometimes it doesn't, you're like, well, you're like bringing it with you. So if I'm taking this notebook, then I'm bringing the notebook with me to another place. He also has a fun meeting and playing with the other dogs. The root word in meeting is going to be meet. He also has a fun meeting and playing with other dogs. So meet means to group with others. And if you have different definitions, or if you want to look it up in the dictionary, you are more than welcome to do so. All right. The last thing you guys are going to do is your spelling, vocabulary, grammar, mechanics, and your selfie writing if you have not done so. So let me show you guys. For your spelling, you're going to click on the link and then take your spelling test. Vocabulary, you're going to click on the link and take your vocabulary test. Grammar and mechanics is going to be in Connect Ed in Wonders. Go to games. Your grammar activity for this week is going to be on predicates. Remember, I put all of those YouTube videos on for predicates. The subject is who the sentence is talking about. The predicate is what the sentence or what that person is doing. So Dr. Johnson visited our class. What did he do? He visited our class. She is an animal doctor. She is the subject. What does she do? She is an animal doctor.
Excellent work.
Dogs is the subject. And what about dogs? Are her favorite animals.
Good job.
The next thing is going to be your mechanics activity. You're going to put commas after sequence words like first, next, and finally.
Good job.
And then the last thing is going to be your selfie writing, which we talked about at the beginning of the week. What you're going to do is you're going to go to classwork, go to ELA, click on selfie writing. A lot of you guys have to actually go through and check because you are not writing complete sentences. So make sure you're writing complete sentences, all right? So if you go to our student copy of our weekly schedule, the beginning of the week was September 20th. So you're going to look for September 20th, which is right here. My favorite part of summer was, and so I'm going to do an example for you guys, okay? So my favorite part of summer, and I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to click tab to indent. Whenever you start a paragraph, you always have to indent. My favorite part of summer was getting to spend more time with my two dogs. I taught Kovu how to bark on command, period. Then, comma, Evie quickly learned as well. We spent many days at the pool, and sometimes they would dip their paws into the water. Finally, that was my favorite part of summer. Now, you can change the font. You can change how big it is. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna change the font to like Cosmic Sans. And then I'm gonna read it to see how many sentences I wrote. My favorite part of summer was getting to spend more time with my two dogs, period. I taught Kovu how to bark on command, period. Then, comma, Evie quickly learned as well, period. We spent many days at the pool, and sometimes they would dip their paws into the water, period. Finally, that was my favorite part of summer, period. So Ms. Park wrote 5 sentences, all right? Now, I know that only took me a short amount of time, so it might take you guys a little bit longer, but this is what I expect. I should not see one sentence. You shouldn't write, my favorite part of summer was going to Legoland. That's just one sentence. You need to give me more details in your writing, okay? As a friendly reminder, you need to also add your pictures. So if you don't want that picture of Mrs. Witcher, you're just gonna go to insert, you're gonna go to image, and then you should be able to take a picture with your camera. You're gonna take a picture. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mask the image and just make it a circle. And then I'm going to make sure that it's the black lines. If you're not sure how to make those black lines, you can click on the mask image. And then I am going to shape this so that it's just on my face. There we go. And then I'm going to make my face a little bit bigger. And then I want to put these sunglasses on top of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange. I'm going to click on order and I'm going to bring the sunglasses to the front. And then now the sunglasses are in the front and I'm going to twist them so that they're over my eyes. Ta-da. All right, guys. So that is going to be your selfie writing. All right. All right, guys, if you guys have any questions for me, you guys, let's actually go through some things right now.